Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for being a few seconds late there. Good to see all of you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon here in our beautiful city of York. As we announce our efforts to assist in continuing to improve the quality of life in our beloved city. Thank you to our elected officials that are here with us this afternoon. We have Councilman Nixon behind me, Councilwoman Judy Ritter-Dixon, and I know Representative Hill Evans' office is represented. Thank you all, as it takes all of us, as you all hear me saying often. Special thank you to Mr. Rick Merck and Dr. Munger, who's here with us today, of QDOT Engineering, for their generosity and willingness to join alongside us, providing an instrument and being that instrumental role, if you will, in the implementation of this project. Lastly, thank you to our Director of Economic Community Development, Mr. Shavosky Buffalo, and our Deputy Director of Permits, Planning and Zoning, Mr. Steve Buffington, for their diligence and foresight, vision, and willingness to embrace this public-private collaboration in bringing this project to fruition for the betterment, again, of our community. And of course, thank you to the team here that are going to use these little gadgets in making instant notification. So in the beginning of my first term as mayor of our York, I announced my 9 and 9 initiatives, and some of you might remember that. Number 8 of that initiative was zero tolerance for blight. It has been a focus, an ongoing focus and targeted effort of ours to indeed target blight, vacant buildings, to make our neighborhoods safer, try to improve their quality of life, and enhance property value, to which several initiatives and projects have been instituted within the city. And also ensuring that these goals continue to be accomplished is why we are really here today in preparing this announcement of the implementation and enforcement of the Neighborhood Improvement Enforcement Ordinance. Although many of us work daily in maintaining the cleanliness of our community, often people have taken part in our Take 10 on Tuesday initiative. I've encouraged people to do that all week long, but through the understanding of the importance of taking pride in the appearance of our community. Still, unfortunately, the elements of unsightly dirt, debris, litter, and all those unsightly objects still remain within certain areas throughout our community. And this creates a diminished vibrancy in our quality of life in the city of York, leading to, in many cases, many negative and adverse effects on our health and safety, as well as hampering our efforts to maintain and upgrade our curb appeal. So through the effort that will be shared here today in enforcing our Neighborhood Improvement Ordinance, which was initially adopted to effectively address the quality of life, curb appeal, health, and safety of our community and residents and property owners that choose to comply with the ordinance, you will learn that there will be a host of options and ranges of fines, if you will, if properties are found to be in violation. So together we want our York to remain as vibrant. We want people to comply. We want people to take care of their properties. We want people to clean up in front of their stoops, pick up the trash, call large item pickup. Many communities do not have these services. We pay for services such as what we have in the city of York, and still people can't work within those parameters, if you will. So this ordinance, which will be enforced across the board to everyone, businesses, families, homes, everyone, will be enforced in a way that folks will see a difference in our community. So we want to make, again, our York and continue to have a vibrant community, prosperous community to which businesses, families, and tourists will not only be attracted to, but that families and businesses will aspire to building longevity and taking part in keeping up our city as well, too. So again, thank you to QDOT Engineering for your willingness to work together with us and to ensure that our community is truly a great place to live, work, and play. When this ordinance was being fine-tuned and coming online, we worked closely with namely one individual who often contacted us about all sorts of issues, but Councilman Henry Nixon was one that really kept pushing the administration, myself, and Steve Buffington and others to really look at this ordinance, take a hard look at its impact in our community. What does it mean at the end of the day? How are we really going to get compliance? Given the fact the city of York is 5.2 square miles and our staff is very lean, and we need to make sure there's a balance. But Councilman Henry Nixon is here to share a few words as well from his perspective regarding this ordinance. And after he is finished, Stephen Buffington, our Deputy Director of Permits, Planning and Zoning, will probably talk to more of the technical aspects of the ordinance, display the tool that will be used, and then we'll answer any questions or comments you all might have. Thank you. I didn't say that in the beginning, but thank you very much for being here with us. And Councilman Nixon, how about it, sir?
Well, greetings to everyone today. Thank you for being here. I'm very pleased to be part of this announcement, which is the true beginning of the enforcement of the Neighborhood Improvement Ordinance, which was passed some time ago. But it has been difficult to enforce due to inadequate handheld devices and technology. While we've had this in existence, as I said, we haven't had the ability to fully enforce it. Today, the City of York has a robust tool that enables the property maintenance inspectors to effectively get out and address quality of life issues associated with both rental units and homeowners, fully implementing the Neighborhood Improvement Ordinance. I have used this bully pulpit for some time, talking about the concerns that I have about our city and its appearance due to just general neglect. I'm very pleased to have worked with Mayor Bracy and Steve Buffington. They have been most cooperative and most willing to want to work for the same kind of common goal that we have, which is to make our city a better place to live and work. This cooperative spirit between the administration and council was made possible because of the right kind of attitude that the mayor has and the right kind of attitude that the entire administration has in wanting to improve our city. Our goals had three components: streamline the bureaucracy of getting matters resolved and not leave problematic properties unattended to for weeks, months, or even years, before we can motivate difficult property owners to become better property owners. Second was to achieve a greater compliance under the local ordinance to bring those city residents who refuse to be civic-minded to fully understand the importance of keeping our community safe, clean, and green. Third, reduce the level of urban blight by resolving the number of minor and major deficiencies with individual properties and reinforce the minimum standards of human decency for living conditions in our city of York. And finally, curb appeal for all property owners by reinforcing the expectations for property ownership of what is acceptable and decent for both residents and rental property operators. Again, I want to emphasize the wonderful relationship that the government has given the mayor's office and the administration and council. This is government at its very best. This is the way things ought to work. We work together, the different branches, for a common goal and arrive at a common meeting place to enforce good ordinances. So again, thank you to the mayor, thank you to Steve Buffington and the entire crew of her team, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Good afternoon. Boy, that's tough to follow. We started this journey years back with a goal of trying to come up with a way to encourage property owners, residents, to become better neighbors, more responsible citizens, and to care for their properties so that everybody can enjoy their property and our city looks nice. If you're driving into the city, you see piles of trash along the curbs when it's not a trash collection day. You see mattresses dumped. That certainly doesn't speak well for our city or provide a good first impression. We realized the tools we had in our toolbox at that time weren't necessarily working well. We had recourse, we issue citations, we take money away from people, but we weren't fixing the problem. Obviously, there's no money in the city budget for the city to go around and clean up everybody's mess. As a property owner, as a resident, you have a responsibility to keep your property clean, to keep it code compliant, and to not let it become a blight on the neighborhood and take away from the enjoyment of your neighbor's properties. We came up with this ordinance. Jason Sable from the solicitor's office was critical in getting information together for this, and we come up with what we believe is a compromise between the want to really reach out and grab a hold of somebody and shake them and say, hey, look, you're being irresponsible, you're not taking care of your property, it's a mess, and being understanding that not everybody has thousands of dollars in their pocket to pay fines or to necessarily fix things immediately like we'd like them. So we took items that are pretty quick fixes. You know, don't put your trash out days before trash collection. Don't dump your mattress out back and not call large item, or call large item and put it out a week before it's to be collected. These things cause health concerns, they cause fire concerns. So we took this ordinance, and the first step is gentle. It's typically a warning. If you own the property where the violation is, you're going to get a warning that says, hey, you know what, you're not really keeping your property the way it needs to be. This is a warning that if you don't get it cleaned up, you don't fix this particular issue, we're going to give you a ticket that's going to cost you money. Those fines range from $25 to typically $300 for a property violation. The trash out too early, tall grass and weeds, not shoveling your snow. So it's really a break in some cases for some citizens, because right now, if you don't cut your grass or you don't shovel your walk, you're subject to a $100 fine right off the bat. That's the minimum fine. Now it's $25, but if we have to tell you again, then it's going to be $50, and it's going to escalate up to $300. But we also recognize that there's another problem in the city, and that's the folks that bring their junk, trash, tires, mattresses, construction debris into the city and dump them into our alleys. So we put in there a fine of $1,000 for somebody that illegally dumps if we catch them. There's a fine for $5,000 if you dump hazardous materials. So we're taking the problem seriously. We're trying to also understand that necessarily taking money from folks isn't always going to fix the problem, but if there's not some kind of nudge for some folks to understand that their negative actions have consequences, they're not going to take care of the problem. So we got the ordinance, and then we realized, oh my gosh, this is going to be really tough to track and take care of. So in partnership with QDOT, we were able to locate devices very similar to what the parking enforcement officers use that will electronically record a photograph of the violation, up to 12 pictures if we want. They enter the information on there. That ticket is left on the door of the property, and a copy of it is mailed to the property owner. So it's instant notification. People know about it. They're not waiting for weeks to get something in the mail. And they understand that the consequences become escalating if it doesn't get taken care of. I wish I could stand here and tell you that this is going to be the cure-all, end-all for the problem. It's another tool in our toolbox. We've got very dedicated folks standing behind us here who every day are out on the street fighting this fight to try and clean the city up, and it's every bit as frustrating for them as it is for the citizens who don't see things getting fixed as quickly as they would like. So we now have this tool in our toolbox. The inspectors will be out every day with these devices. Starting Saturday, there'll be at least one inspector out on the street with one of these devices, and they are going to begin issuing these tickets. Thank you. And Michelle has one of our devices to As I said, it's pretty much
That one,
like what the parking enforcement officers carry. The key thing here is they're able to take a photograph of the violation when they write the ticket, and it prints right out on their ticket. So when it's given to the person responsible, it's kind of tough to say, no, my grass wasn't 12 inches tall, when there's a photograph with a ruler there that shows how tall the grass was. It enters it into a system, and right now, we've been testing these devices. They're in the test mode. If you were to type in 101 South George Street into this device, it would come up with a screen that says scofflaw, telling us that there's multiple violations at this location, and they can trace the history back and determine which fine needs to be assessed against the property. So that's a valuable tool. That was a big stumbling block with the ordinance, was how we were going to track that, because it doesn't do any good to have an escalating fine if you can't track how many times you've cited. So it's going to be a great tool. They're going to be in there 5 minutes, type in what they need to type, take a picture, put it on the door, come back to the office, print one out, and send it to the owner, and the notification has been made. Doesn't necessarily mean the problem's going to be fixed, but if it's not, they'll be back out, and the ticket's going to double. So our hope is that by starting with a lower fine of $25, it'll encourage people to understand it. Yeah, there are going to be consequences. They really didn't bankrupt me with this, but next time it's going to be even more expensive, so maybe I don't want to do that anymore.
How many do you have?
These devices, there's 4 devices currently. That puts one in each of our inspection districts in the city. Our hope is that we can possibly expand the number of devices that we have as time goes on. But for now, 4 devices will let us have one in each district and give them the tool they need to keep moving, point out as many violations as they can, and hopefully make a big difference.
Any particular neighborhoods that you'll be working in?
Yes, everyone. As the mayor stated earlier, this is across the board. It'll be downtown, it'll be east, west, north, and south. The ordinance applies to everyone equally. Certainly the Market Street corridor, George Street corridor, we want to make sure that when people come into the city, it's clean, there's not trash out all over the place, or that our Public Works Department doesn't have to have 2 one-ton dump trucks before the Halloween parade or some other event to clean up all the trash that was put out early and left. So there's no area in the city that won't be visited.
You said it starts at 25. What would constitute a $300 fine?
That would be, it's 25, 50, 100, 150, and then 300. So it escalates for each offense.
So that's per second offense goes up to 50 and...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
And we have 2 of these devices here. If you want to get some closer shots of them, we can show them to you and go through how they work.
Mayor, I have a question for you. So in your years,
I was just getting ready to shut it down there. Yes, sir.
your years at the helm, would you say the problem of property maintenance, people being disrespectful to the land, the neighborhoods, that this problem has gotten worse or better?
I don't know that I would kind of say it got worse. I mean, there are areas where there are staunch residents and neighbors who are out regularly, patrolling, picking up trash, taking care of their community. We see it in spurts every now and again. New York is very transient. We have folks that come from other areas that maybe play by a different set of rules. So there's a whole lot of variables that go into the whys, but we do our best to educate. We have a resource guide that's put together, updated probably quarterly, information on our sewer bills. So it's a two-way street, I think, and as proactive as we've been, we're going to take it a step further. Pardon me?
Problem is not going away.
You know, yes, and probably not. I don't know, but I think this will help. I know we'll see a decrease for sure, because this is instantaneous. And as we all know, cameras don't lie. They're going to be date stamped. It's going to be right there. So Joe owner, property owner, Joe whoever is going to want to take it and pay attention to this matter. The evidence is right here. It's not going to take as long to go through the judicial process, so I think we'll see some changes.
Well, I know you take a great deal of pride in your city. So
You know I do.
An opportunity to say something right now to the people who are not being responsible. What would you
Yeah.
say?
Well, I mean, we've worked with you, and we're going to continue to work with you. Take 10 on Tuesday. Get there before we do. Thank you all so very much.